I'm Jeanette, Vice President of Marketing at Trade Hounds, and I'm joined by Brooks Young, Head of Marketing for Prokeep. And today I want to learn a little bit about what Prokeep does. I'm very excited to announce that Trade Hounds is partnering with Prokeep to release an integration to help our distributors and our tradespeople, our contractors communicate more efficiently. So I'd love for everybody to learn a little bit more about what Prokeep is.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having us today. So Prokeep is an order engine specifically built for wholesale and distributors that allows them to take more orders and get more orders. And so it allows them to take more orders by centralizing all of their forms of communication. So text, email, web chat, even fax, all into one centralized hub. And in that hub, we're collecting all of the data and the conversations that are happening between the distributor and a customer in a centralized way. And so that now all of those data points and customer conversations can then be utilized to get more orders proactively. So allowing the distributor to use different segments and tags and those types of things to easily go out and get more orders by sending a broadcast marketing text message, and then maybe having the inside sales team easily be able to assign out, hey, here's some tasks to send a message out to our top customers to see if we can get them to engage in a certain promo or come to an event or something along those lines. And so really just leaning into the customer experience as much as we can and allowing those distributors to take and get more orders because that's what we're all here for, right?
Yeah, it's great that we could partner with you as well, because we always consider, as we're growing as an app, like, do we build something or do we partner with someone who's already built something? And Prokeep has done such a wonderful job of making that a seamless experience for the distributors that it was kind of a no-brainer to team up with you guys. And we have a field app where our technicians and contractors can search for materials and parts, and they may want to communicate questions or talk about their orders with the distributors. And so this is really helpful that now it makes it a lot easier for the distributors to continue to use their own workflows. They don't have to change what they're doing in order to really take advantage of what Trade Hounds has to offer. So I appreciate the partnership. I think it's going to be really exciting to see all of this roll out. We're also working on a lot of new things that are coming with AI, and I know you guys are also working on some cool new AI initiatives. Would you like to share what you guys are doing with AI?
Yeah, absolutely. I think number one, it comes back to like that customer experience, and I think distributors are constantly trying to meet the demands and the needs of their customers. And so I think apps like Trade Hound, which makes it incredibly easy for contractors and everybody to find the materials and then easily, seamlessly transition that straight into Prokeep, which we really see as the front of the house for a distributor. And so the distributor's not having to flip from 5 different screens to easily communicate with the customer. And so where we really are leaning in is to like continue to make that process, continue to make it more frictionless. And so the distributor can easily operate their workflow, but also that customer, it's super easy for them to communicate with the distributor. And so something that we're really excited about coming out is order automation. And that's where we're using AI in one particular place. But think about it this way. If a contractor has a box that they're writing their order around, and traditionally, maybe they'd call them and say, hey, this is what I need on this order. And maybe now they're saying, hey, I'm going to send this picture in, and the distributor would get that. And maybe that's a little bit easier for them to see and put that order in. But what we're doing is using technology to capture all of that order and seamlessly bring in the ERP connection. And so that they don't even have to leave Prokeep to be able to send a quote directly to that customer. And then the customer say, yep, that looks great. And then the great part about Prokeep is too, you can say, hey, do you need anything else? And maybe there's an upsell or cross-sell opportunity. And they say, oh yeah, I actually do. And maybe that's based on recommended products that they purchased before and so forth. And then easily be able to say, awesome, we got your order, it's placed, it'll be ready in 30 minutes. And so without having to leave that one screen, we're gonna be using AI to continue to make that smarter and smarter and smarter. Based on the product information that's stored within there, as well as frequently purchased items. So yeah, we're really excited about really just making it easier for both the distributor and the customer to interact and drive more orders.
And we're here at the NAED Marketing Summit right now in San Antonio, and you're the head of marketing for Prokeep. So let's talk a little bit about marketing. I know one of the big themes this week is the future of marketing, not only how you use AI for your customers, but also how you might be using different types of technologies or new innovative techniques or new strategies. Would you like to share a little bit about what you're doing as head of marketing for Prokeep?
Yeah, sure. I may start on the other side and think about it from like a distributor standpoint as well. And what we try to do is always thinking about how are they marketing and what are they used to, and really trying to understand how can we get in front of them as they're thinking about what they're trying to do to get in front of their customers. So that's something that we're always trying to get in front of them. And a lot of what we've learned this week too is that distributors think very old school in a lot of cases. And I think we're just hearing about people saying like, okay, we're gonna do flyers, or we're gonna send this email and hope that people are gonna show up for our event, or drive 50% off sale. And traditionally, distribution has been behind in that technology, and that's something we're really excited in starting to see the people and the distributors that are really leaning into the marketing aspects of technologies, and really like pushing down and saying, hey, we're going to send out a broadcast text message to all 1,000 of our contacts, and where they might see a $20,000, $30,000 day, typically they're starting to see a $60,000, $80,000 day because they're utilizing technology that really a lot of industries have used for a long time now. And so like that's what gets me excited about like being able to help these distributors be somewhat of a guide for them to market to their customers and ultimately drive more orders. And so that's how I'm really trying to think about marketing to our customers and allowing them to help. But from our standpoint, it's not too different, right? We're trying to continually think, what can we do differently? What can we do that stands out, but also have some fun with it, right? And hopefully like stand out in an industry that traditionally is a little bit more straight-laced and old school, but also enjoys humor. So we're trying to figure out, how do we build campaigns to have a little bit more fun, but also like really poke the problem, like what is the real problem that we're trying to solve, and then try to get creative and think outside of the box of how can we do things differently. And I think we've been sending pagers, old school pagers to people and saying like, hey, this was awesome. And this was like leading edge technology back in the 80s, 90s, but it's changed, right? And so like trying to get them to understand and think differently of like, oh yeah, I guess it has changed.
That is so funny. I love that you bring that up, because I think some of the new technology and some of just the new cultural things that we have with like social media and TikTok and memes really helps us all be a little bit more like human, and maybe make room for more creativity and make marketing like a little more fun. So we're trying to do the same thing with Trade Hounds, and we have an amazing meme marketer. And if you go to our Instagram account, you can see a whole bunch of memes showcasing like our tradespeople work in the background, but trying to bring some levity and humor. And I feel like the newer generation really wants that out of their distributors too. I think that this is such a good point that now we're kind of allowed to like have a little more fun, which I think is exciting. So I think that's cool that you mentioned that. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our viewers about Prokeep, or anything else that's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm going to start with the dog and Trade Hounds. What is that? Is there a story behind the dog?
Yeah, so the dog, we're very excited about our logo. We got really lucky. The previous team that created the logo, I love that they all love dogs. And then now our CEO, he has a dog that actually happens to look exactly like our Trade Hounds logo. And so his dog's name is Rojo. And so we've just released a new AI chatbot named Rojo. And it's like a little animated dog that looks like our Trade Hounds dog, but also kind of like inspired by Rojo. And our one of our marketing managers in the app, Claire, she runs the Rojo at Trade Hounds account. And so you can actually see like a whole dog account inside of the app with pictures of Rojo. And now we're doing like fun little AI animations of like Rojo, and it's kind of like it brings a little fun to the app. And our users in the app are actually like, a lot of them are huge like animal
Sure.
lovers, and like they post pictures of their dogs. And so even though the app is very professional, and that's like a large part of it is that people are there to do work, it does give people an opportunity to be like a little more human and to, bring some smiles to people's faces. And so sometimes when you're in the app, you'll see like people posting pictures of their dogs. And it's just kind of nice and we have little like Trade Hounds bandanas and dog bowls and stuff like that. So it's just a fun way to kind of bring a little bit of levity to people's jobs, and the reason they use the app is really more for professional purposes. But every once in a while, it's nice to have like a little dopamine boost from cute dog pictures.
Yeah, that's right. I remember the paper clip in like Microsoft Word back in the day.
Yep,
it's kind of like that.
It is, yeah, a little clippy.
Yeah, but yeah, I guess like anything else that we want to talk about, I think some of the most important things are like some of these use cases that we see a lot of distributors leaning into Prokeep for, and it's really about like getting creative on ways to drive more orders. And traditionally, distributors have struggled with that and tried to figure out like, okay, how can we really proactively go after our customers? And it starts with segmentation, right? And thinking about what does the book of customers look like? And in a lot of cases, you have your top customers that have inside sales all over them, right? They're making sure that they're good and they're comfortable and all their orders are being taken care of. But then that sometimes leaves a big chunk, maybe close to 80% of the customers or contacts that these distributors have, and they aren't proactively reaching out to them. Maybe some of these are dormant accounts, and that's what Prokeep really allows these distributors to do, is easily tap back into those audiences and say, hey, you haven't purchased from us in 6 months. Come back and see us, right? Here's a 30% off of your next order. And so that's something that we really started to see distributors lean into and have a really big impact on their business. And another one is events. I was talking to a distributor the other day, and he was saying that traditionally they would host an event at one of their branches, and they would have hot dogs and desserts, and they'd send out an email and maybe some flyers and things like that. And traditionally, they'd have a bunch of hot dogs and desserts left. And he said that this time they sent out a broadcast marketing text message, and they had 200 people more than they usually have show up because they sent out the text message from a one-to-many standpoint, sent it to I think like 1,000 of their contacts, and then they had tasks that were distributed in Prokeep to their top sales team members, and then those sales team members used a template to easily send out, hey, hope to see you at the event. And because of that, they ran out of the dessert and all of the hot dogs.
Great.
And so there's great use cases for both sales and marketing to work together to accomplish like the goals that they're really striving out to do. So excited to continue to help distributors drive more orders for their business and get more people into those branches.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to share with our viewers about Prokeep, and I'm so excited to get to work with you and your team. And I know we'll be sharing a lot of information that's coming out with how we're going to be integrating Prokeep into Trade Hounds, and can't wait to see the next chapter. And I really appreciate your time today.
That's right. No, thank you for having me, and we're excited about the partnership and helping everybody win.
Yeah, thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you.